be a long, hard-fought series and two great teams going at it.
2 days away from taking on the two-time champs, the countdown to the Avs in the Stanley Cup Final is on.
They're back where they are for a reason, right? So this is it's a very difficult team to win against.
Home or away, downtown Denver is preparing for thousands of fans.
Every TV will be on, the sound will be cranked up.
Plus, it's hearing number 2 from the January 6th committee as more witnesses testify.
Today, we examine the false narrative that the 2020 election was, quote, stolen.
The committee is trying to lay out its case that former President Trump was directly responsible for the attack at the Capitol. And businesses are still trying to rebuild from the Marshall Fire. Some are struggling to return to normal more than 5 months after the fire. We start at 11 with a live look outside. It is hot and hazy out there. We have another day of 90s across the metro on tap before we get a little bit of relief from that heat. That haze is actually smoke from wildfires burning in New Mexico as well as in Arizona. Let's take a look at the temperatures out there right now. Denver already hitting 90, and it's only going to get hotter. Let's start with meteorologist Lisa Hidalgo. Lisa, could hit triple-digit temps today?
Yeah, it's going to get close. We're calling for a high of 99. That's the record high today, so we're likely going to tie another record, potentially even break it. And yeah, you can see from this shot from City Park looking west, typically the gorgeous Rockies behind downtown Denver. Way too hazy to see it right now, so visibility is down. Those winds have kicked up out of the southwest, so it's even pushing more of that smoke in early this morning. Low 90s already in some areas. Golden, you're at 81. Littleton currently 89, and in Commerce City, 90. It's 93 in Firestone right now, so we are well above normal already, and we're looking at highs right around 100 this afternoon, 70s and 80s in the mountains. Now, the good news is there's a cold front. The bad news is this time of year, a cold front is more of a cool front. It will bring our temperatures down a bit. We'll take a closer look at that coming up here in just a few minutes.
All right, Lisa, thank you. Well, from the heat to the ice, the countdown to the Stanley Cup Final is on. Game 1 is Wednesday night at Ball Arena. The Avs will host the Tampa Bay Lightning, the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champs that are looking for their third straight Stanley Cup. The Avs beat the Lightning in their 2 meetings in the regular season, but they know things are different, way different, come the Stanley Cup Final.
If you want to be the best, you have to expect to be able to beat the best. So that's them, and we're ready for the challenge.
They're a really good team. They've won 2 back-to-back Stanley Cups, but we're confident in ourselves as well. We have a really good team. It's not easy to get to the Cup Final.
The Avs have practice in about an hour. We'll hear from them on Denver 7 News at 5 as well as 6 o'clock. Now, we do have a couple of updates on a couple of Avs players. Center Nazem Kadri and winger Andrew Cogliano participated in a skating session yesterday. Both players are recovering from finger injuries. Head coach Jared Bednar isn't ruling either of them out for Game 1, at least not yet. And it's going to cost a whole lot of money to see the Avs play at Ball Arena in person. Ticketmaster lists the least expensive ticket around $875. That's before fees. The most expensive seat, $9,000. All tickets at this point for Game 1 are resale. Now, fans who aren't going to the games will likely be packing bars and restaurants in downtown Denver. As Denver 7's Veronica Acosta reports, the Stanley Cup, yet another national event putting Denver in the spotlight.
City leaders expect Game 1 and 2 of the Stanley Cup Final to bring thousands of people to that downtown area. That means those restaurants, bars, even shops will likely be flooded. It's exactly what those spots hoped for at the start of the Western Conference Finals, and now they definitely have some work cut out for them. Over at Poorhouse on Market, staff prepped all weekend long.
We double up on food ordering, double up on the staff. We get some security at the door. Every TV will be on, the sound will be cranked up.
Poorhouse staff told us over the weekend they got a 50-person reservation. Of course, they anticipate a lot more of those coming in both today and tomorrow. The restaurant industry not the only one prepping big, though. If you plan on traveling into Denver to watch the games, that's probably going to cost you a bit. On Priceline, as of last night, the cheapest rate comes in at $84 a night. That's over at the Clarion Hotel Denver Central. The most expensive comes in at $319 a night. That's at the Hilton Denver City Center. Now, if you still haven't made those plans to watch the game, other bar owners and managers we've spoken with have pretty much told us the same thing. Make those reservations as soon as you can because spots are filling up fast. In studio, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Veronica, thank you. Now, the Avs are hosting watch parties for all Stanley Cup final games. They're going to be out on the Tivoli Quad on the Auraria campus. That's not far from Ball Arena. You'll be able to watch the games on giant TV screens. The parties are free, but you do have to pay for food and drinks. And of course, Denver 7 is your Avalanche station. We will have coverage all day on Wednesday for Game 1. We'll be out at Ball Arena before, during, and after. Our pregame show starts at 5:30. The game then starts at 6 right here on Denver 7. That's where you watch the Avs, and then stick around after the game for our postgame show. And don't forget, you can also watch Game 5 of the NBA Finals on Denver 7 tonight. The Warriors and Celtics series is tied at 2 games apiece. Coverage starts at 6:30. The Broncos, meanwhile, can't forget about them. They're back at Dove Valley today for mandatory minicamp. The players won't wear pads while practicing, but there is some 11-on-11 work that's going to happen, again, out at Dove Valley. Minicamp runs today through Wednesday. We'll hear from the Broncos a little bit later on today on Denver 7 News at 6. So many families lost everything in the Marshall Fire, but even the buildings that were spared are dealing with the negative domino effect of that fire. Small businesses near the burn area, like Champion Cleaners, are dealing with a huge loss in business because those who used to live in the neighborhood don't have homes to live in at the moment.
It's not the same as before. It's so much, mixed emotions. I just feel sorry. At the same time, I'm trying to, our families, I'm trying to make a living here too, and we don't know what to do. I mean, that's the situation we're in.
Lee also had to do his own cleanup. He tried to get both his and his landlord's insurance involved in that cleanup, but as you can imagine, it's a lengthy process, and opening that business back up after the fire was his #1 priority. He says that he paid more than $74,000 out of pocket to get his business cleaned up. 2 people are missing after a fire in Pitkin County. The fire happened at a home in the Old Snowmass area earlier this morning. 2 buildings caught fire. Firefighters say 2 people sleeping in one of the buildings are unaccounted for. A 3rd person was taken to the hospital and a 4th person wasn't hurt. Firefighters have not said how that fire started. Some new details at 11. Lakewood police say mechanical problems might have caused a plane to make an emergency landing at the Fox Hollow Golf Course this morning. Plane landed around 7:30, about a half an hour after taking off from Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport. Officers say the 2 pilots and golfers on the course were not hurt. There is some minor damage to the course, and the plane is still on the course until equipment can get out there to remove it. Well, the House Select Committee just wrapped up a hearing on the January 6th Capitol insurrection. The committee tried to lay out its case that Donald Trump's false claims of election fraud were responsible for the attack at the Capitol. Jay O'Brien has a recap of the first hours of that hearing.
Without objection, the chair is authorized.
The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Now focusing on former President Donald Trump's repeated false claims of election fraud and his pressure campaign to overturn the vote count in several key swing states.
Stop that steal! Stop that steal!
Looking to directly tie Trump's lies the election was stolen from him to the deadly Capitol attack on January 6th.
He ignored the will of the voters. He lied to his supporters and the country. And he tried to remain in office after the people had voted him out.
They'll be calling a series of high-profile witnesses, including former Fox News political editor Chris Steyerwalt, who was fired by the conservative cable network after being the first to call the state of Arizona for Joe Biden, which gave him enough electoral college votes to win the election.
Mr. Steyerwalt, after the votes were counted, who won the presidential election of 2020?
Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. of the great state of Delaware.
But the start of today's hearing was delayed after Trump's former campaign manager, Bill Stepien, a key witness, canceled his appearance due to a family emergency. The committee playing excerpts of Stepien's previously taped testimony.
My recommendation was to say that votes were still being counted. It's too early to tell. Too early to call the race.
After last week's hearing, Trump responding by doubling down on his debunked claims of election fraud, saying Congress should be investigating that instead. The House Select Committee isn't conducting a criminal investigation, but they are making it clear they are laying out this case not just for the American people, but for Attorney General Merrick Garland, who is the only federal official that could bring criminal charges against Trump or his allies if he believes they've committed crimes. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, the Capitol.
Concerns about inflation and rising interest rates have stocks opening the week with more losses. Right now, the Dow is down about 700 points. The S&P has fallen to the level considered a bear market. The last bear market was 2 years ago. Inflation is at a 40-year high, causing prices on things like food and gas to rise. Economists are warning that inflation will get worse before it gets better.
I think you've got to be very modest about what we know about this inflation process. And I fear that it's still going to get worse. We may well get to 9% at this rate.
The Federal Reserve is expected to raise key interest rates by a half point on Wednesday. It's an effort to curb inflation without sending the U.S. into a recession. Some analysts expect interest rates could rise by 3/4 of a point in the months ahead. You know, a day like today, a dip in the pool sounds like a great idea. When and where you can and can't cool off. Plus,
she said something about she had a couple more things she wanted to do in her life.
the bucket list birthday wish one Colorado woman's friends made possible to get her 99th year off to a flying start.